All right, let's get into it. So, you know the chatter. There's been this very specific prevailing hypothesis floating around the tech world for a while now. You read it in articles, you definitely see it in the comment sections. The idea is simple, but honestly pretty terrifying for legacy automakers. If Chinese electric vehicles ever actually hit Western markets, their massive tech integration and super aggressive pricing would just completely dominate. Today, in this explainer, we're going to deconstruct one specific vehicle that serves as the ultimate stress test for this disruptive hypothesis. We're looking at the Xiaomi SU7.
Which leads us to the big looming question we're posing today. Are we cooked? Like, is the legacy auto industry about to be totally upended by consumer electronics companies that just decided to start making cars? By breaking down the SU7, we're going to figure out if this threat is all hype, or if the competition really is just that far ahead.
Okay, before we dive into the specs, I need you to lock this one single number in your head, $42,000. That is the converted US price of the Xiaomi SU7 Max over in China. Seriously, keep that ridiculously low price point in the back of your mind as we go through this, because the stark contrast between that number and the elite technology we're about to look at, that is exactly what makes this car so incredibly disruptive.
To systematically break this down, here's our game plan. We'll start with the thread itself, check out the exterior design, and dive into the seamless software and that crazy modular interior. Then we'll size up the performance rivals and evaluate the broader global market disruption. Let's hit it.
Part 1. The threat. Now, the absolute foundational piece of this whole puzzle is that Xiaomi is not a traditional car company. Not even close. They are a massive tech giant. This is the company making your tablets, your headphones, robot vacuums, smartphones, the whole shebang. Stepping into the auto world with a pure consumer electronics mindset completely changes how you build a vehicle from the ground up.
Because when a tech giant decides to flex, you get on-paper specs like this. We're talking a 101 kilowatt-hour battery, dual-motor all-wheel drive, 673 horsepower, 320 miles of range, boom. Right out of the gate, this $42,000 car is going head-to-head with something like the Tesla Model 3 Performance, which sits around $55,000 today. They didn't just build a cute little starter commuter car, they built an absolute spec monster.
Moving on to Part 2, industry-inspired exterior design. What's fascinating here is that because Xiaomi doesn't have, 100 years of legacy auto history weighing them down, they don't have some old design language they're forced to stick to. That lack of history actually gave them immense creative freedom to just borrow, blend, and melt together premium elements from the rest of the industry.
And you can totally see the specific prestige car designs they pulled from. It's like a greatest hits album. You've got headlights that look very McLaren, hood lines that give off a Lotus vibe, a side profile that undeniably echoes the Porsche Taycan. It's got the super thin, modern bezels of a Polestar, and even an active rear wing that looks straight off a Mercedes-AMG GT. They essentially took visual cues from far more expensive brands and somehow packaged them into a highly cohesive, genuinely good-looking vehicle. Which brings us to Part 3, seamless software and smarts. Stepping inside, this is where the whole tech company building a car thing really shines. The software experience here feels like a sneak peek at what Apple might have actually done if they'd successfully launched an Apple car. It is so incredibly smooth, operating exactly like a high-end smartphone ecosystem. Just look at the smart features. You have this massive 16-inch primary display in the center that syncs flawlessly with your texts, your maps, even your smart home security cameras. You've got 25 speakers wrapped in ambient lighting that literally pulses to the bass and matches the exact colors of the album art of the song you're playing. And hey, if you aren't already deep in the Xiaomi ecosystem, no problem. They threw in a massive, gorgeous window for wireless Apple CarPlay as a seamless backup.
But honestly, arguably the most ingenious software feature in the entire cabin handles the audio. Picture this. You're driving, the music is about to drop, and suddenly the nav voice yells over the whole car to tell you to turn left. So annoying, right? Well, the SU7 software actually isolates the navigation directions and plays them exclusively through independent speakers built directly into the driver's headrest. The driver hears the turns, while the passenger's music just keeps playing totally uninterrupted. That right there, that is the superpower of a tech company building a car.
All right, Part 4, the modular interior experience. The software is amazing, for sure, but Xiaomi took that customization a step further into the physical realm. The cabin has this highly unique design where there are actual physical mounting points hidden all around the dashboard and the center console.
Meaning, you can literally screw in proprietary hardware modules to customize your layout. Want an extra speedometer or trip display? Add it. Need magnetic car mounts or high-powered USB hubs for the back seat? Done.
They even offer integrated karaoke microphones and long-range walkie-talkies that pair straight to the car. You can make your interior totally minimalist or completely maximalist, depending entirely on which gadgets you feel like snapping in that day. It's brilliant.
But here's the kicker, and I love this. Despite being a completely tech-first vehicle, they retained a tasteful amount of real physical hardware controls. You don't have to dig through 3 touchscreen menus just to turn on the air conditioning. There are nice tactile buttons right at your fingertips for immediate needs like temperature, fan speed, and adjusting the ride height. They absolutely nailed the balance between touchscreens and tactile feedback.
Okay, part 5, rivals and performance dynamics. So, it's clearly a rolling tech gadget. But how does it actually perform as a car on the open road? Well, it turns out it has this incredible split personality. It's basically a wolf in sheep's clothing.
In its default comfort mode, the adjustable air suspension is incredibly chill and soft. It absorbs potholes on a level that honestly rivals ultra-luxury EVs like Lucid. You even have a customizable power delivery slider that can shift you from front-wheel to rear-wheel drive on a whim. But twist that dial to Sport Plus mode, the graphics all turn red, a G-force meter pops up, the pedal gets super aggressive, and suddenly you have brutal launch control taking you from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. No joke.
And it's really about the sensory details of the drive, too. The cabin isolation is so elite, paired with active noise cancellation, that it's just dead quiet in there. And when you're throwing all 673 of those horses around corners, the motorized active seat bolsters physically hug and catch the driver. That's a luxury feature you usually only see in something like a heavy, expensive G-Wagon.
Now, is it a Porsche Taycan on the track? Okay, it might sit just one notch below that level of sheer sportiness. But the handling is absolutely on par with the Tesla Model 3 Performance and the BMW i4. It gives you incredible confidence and placement on the road, easily matching the very top cars in its class. Finally, part 6, global market disruption. Let's zoom out to conclude our deconstruction here. We are looking at an incredibly capable EV with amazing software and an automated driving system that, by the way, already works exceptionally well on the streets of China. But right now, due to tariffs and varying politics, it isn't sold in the US. The core of the market disruption really boils down to this one thought. This is a $42,000 car that genuinely feels like a $75,000 car. The elite build quality, the dead silent cabin, the completely stacked feature set, and that modular interior, they just shouldn't exist at this price point, but they do.
And if you take the car apart, looking for the secret sauce, you'll find out there really isn't one. There's no bleeding-edge science fiction impossible to replicate battery technology hidden inside. Actually, scratch that. The true disruption is simply masterful execution. It is an elite packaging of great software, totally normal car parts, and exceptional build quality, all stacked into one cohesive package.
Which leaves us with a pretty big provocative question to chew on. Will this new wave of tech-focused EVs ultimately raise the ceiling for the entire global car industry? The Xiaomi SU7 is allegedly making its way to Europe around 2027. When these highly optimized, wildly affordable tech cars hit the global stage, legacy automakers will have absolutely no choice but to dramatically improve their tech, their software, and definitely their prices. So are we cooked? Maybe. But either way, that competition is going to be incredibly exciting for anyone who loves technology. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. I'll catch you guys next time.